Hey YouTube, we're taking a break today from the indie rock alphabet. I'm kind of bored with it, but I'm going to continue it later. I just did a couple of attempts and I was boring myself, and I don't want to bore you because, if you're watching it, then I don't want to bore myself. There's no point if I'm boring myself. So we're changing it up, and obviously the subject is revealing what it's about, but before we get to it, this is what we're listening to right now. Eddie Harris and Les McCann's Second Movement. This is 1971, Atlantic Records, the sequel to their phenomenally successful Swiss Movement, which if you don't have and you like soul jazz, you can get it for $1, probably. You can get it for $2. Yeah, don't pay over $3 for it, because you'll find it for less than that very easily. Phenomenal record. I really like it. And then obviously it's massively popular. It was a huge crossover hit compared to what was big for them. But we're going to talk about Randy Newman. He is my favorite songwriter, hands down. And as far as 70s songwriters go, I could live without him. James Taylor, Jackson Browne, Carly Simon, Joni Mitchell. Too many minor sevenths. I really am not interested. There's exceptions. Randy Newman is an exception. Harry Nilsson is an exception. Paul Simon is an exception. And there's probably exceptions that I'm not thinking of right now. Lesser known songwriters. That albums sold like nothing. I'd be interested in that. But the sound doesn't super appeal to me as much as I love songs. I love some reinterpretations of those people's songs, but not necessarily the records that they produce. But Randy Newman, this is his first album. Randy Newman creates something new under the sun, self-titled, but that was its subtitle. This is 1968 on Reprise Records. Features the song I Think It's Going to Rain Today has been covered a billion times. This is a fully formed first record. There's a first press of this with a record of him standing in the clouds with a cover. The cover's different, and it goes for like $50 or whatever, but it's an awful cover. I don't know why people are paying that much for it. I guess because it's OG, but he's fully formed. And songs like I Think It's Gonna Rain Today usually performed. I went to see the movie We Bought a Zoo, and the emotional climax of the movie featured that song. And I'm not saying Cameron Crowe got it wrong, because maybe I just missed it. But it seems to me that this song is really sarcastic. Human kindness is overflowing. Randy Newman doesn't mean that. Neither does the person singing the song. He's walking down the streets, seeing mannequins dressed up in the latest fashions, and he's sitting there kicking a tin can, and nobody gives a crap. So a lot of people miss the point of that song. But that's Randy Newman's strength. He's not always there's always a subtext to every single one of his songs, especially the most sentimental. If you think he's being serious, he's not. And normally I'm not a lyrics person. I really do not pay attention to lyrics that much. But in my band and in my songwriting, I write lyrics. And so there's like 3 or 4 people I actually pay attention to the lyrics. This is one of them. And I really like the unreliable narrator approach that he has. Enough about that. This is a great first record, fully developed ideas, exciting career ahead of him. This is his second record, less orchestrated than the first. This is more of a rock and roll affair. And let's see, Mama Told Me Not to Come is one of the bigger songs. Three Dog Night covered it, obviously. This version's way better. Let's Burn Down the Cornfield is another album on here that is the sexiest thing Randy Newman has ever written. You can see like the fire in the background of a pitch black night, burning down the cornfield, just making love in the wide open. Awesome song. Obviously, he wrote You Can Leave Your Hat On. Joe Cocker made that sexy. Randy Newman did not make it sexy. It's nerdy and inept. The guy doesn't quite know what to do with the situation in front of him. Anyway, this is really good. Yellow Man is an interesting song. I highly recommend 12 Songs. This is one of my favorite Randy Newman records. So the sales, I think, on those first two were not what Reprise was expecting. So in 1971, they released Randy Newman Live because his live shows were a hit. And this features songs from his first two records and a couple that weren't. Just him and a piano and some live banter, which he would go on to do a couple other live albums because he's really good at that. He's a good one-on-one performer. Anyway, I'm not sure if this was hugely successful or not. I can't remember, but it probably was, considering this was his next album, Randy Newman's Sail Away. This is his masterpiece, easily. Every single song is a piece of work. Sail Away, the song sung from the perspective of slave traders. Lonely at the Top, a sad rich man. He gives us all his love, a sentimental, sappy praise and worship song that is, you could hear it sung in a church, but it's sarcastic the entire time. Last Night I Had a Dream, which there was a 45 released. There was a psychedelic rock version of this that Randy Newman hated. It was released on a single and might possibly be my biggest holy grail if I could ever find that 45. Simon Smith and His Amazing Dancing Bear, fun song. Old Man's a good song. Political Science, one of the best approximations of Dr. Strangelove. Burn On, Big River. Solid. Memo to My Son, that one's not ringing a bell at the moment. Dayton, Ohio, 1903, nice pastoral kind of song, making fun of people who long for the good old days. You Can Leave Your Hat On, the nerdy, inept, seductive song. And God's Song, That's Why I Love Mankind, sung from the perspective of Lord, laughing at all the people who are worshiping him. I mean, Randy Newman can be mean, and he can kind of be a prick, making fun of easy targets. But it never has been done as well as it has on this album. This is just perfect. The orchestrations are fantastic. They're just the best approximation of his film score lineage. Both of his uncles were film composers. The Louisiana R&B and this pop tradition that he was working in. That album's so good. And what's great about all these albums, every single one of them can be had for cheap. So if you get inspired, and I hope you do, to check out some more Randy Newman, it's easy to come by. This is Good Old Boys. This is from 1974. This features the controversial track Rednecks and is a pretty political album. It's about just how messed up things can get in the Old South with good old boys. It's just a bunch of jerks running things, or at least thinking they're running things. It's got tracks like Marie, Louisiana 1927, honestly, that's a great thing about that track. It works just as well with Katrina as it does with the hurricane in 1927 that I don't remember the name of. Naked Man, Guilty. It's a nasty song. Good Old Boys. Great album. Next was probably his most popular album, Little Criminals. Features Short People, which, hilarious how mad people got about that song. I mean, there's no way I could ever listen to this song and think he was being serious. That's the thing. Irony is lost on, you don't make an ironic #1 hit seller. There's no way. Baltimore is a great song about the city. Rider in the Rain is another good song. I think Don Henley's on that track, but he's friends with those guys, and you see him pop up on the albums from time to time. Can't Fool the Fat Man is another one, very easy to find, very good record. Very easy to find because of its popularity. And after that, is Born Again. This is probably my least favorite, second least favorite. This is every single one was just too easy of a target when he started making fun of people. However, the story of a rock and roll band, his tribute to Jeff Lynne and ELO, is on point. It's pretty awesome, and I think Jeff Lynne is a big fan of it. But it's the money that I love. It's a good track. This is one of the last ones that I purchased, though. It's good. After that, return to form, I think. Trouble in Paradise. This is from 1983. This is on Warner Brothers Records. This has the monster LA anthem, I Love LA, of course. Also has, let's see, The Blues, which is funny. I think Paul Simon's on it, making fun of being a singer-songwriter. A Real Emotional Girl is phenomenal. Great track. It's there's a guy and he's drunkenly talking about this girl that he likes, and then in the second verse he starts oversharing a little bit. Starts giving away a little bit too much information about this girl. But I love this record. I was really stoked to find this. I kind of avoided the 80s material for a while, which with good reason, because then this is the last Randy Newman album, Land of Dreams. This has some good songs. It really does. Let's see. Bad News from Home is disturbing. Uses a minor sixth chord change to great effect. And let's see. Fallen in Love. This was like his introspective album. He wanted to start having more confessional tunes. Dixie Flyers, like the story of his childhood. That's a picture of him as a kid. He wanted to get in, just kind of reconnect. And unfortunately, the production of the 80s kind of harms this record. And also, Masterman and Baby J is this really awful attack of rap music, and then it doesn't require talent. Obviously, he was not forward-thinking in that respect. It's the Money That Matters was kind of like a I Love LA Part 2. But this is, I like it enough to own. I don't play it a whole bunch, but this came out in 88, sorry. And it's enjoyable. But it's the last Randy Newman I have. He went on, obviously, to do more soundtrack work and released a few more albums, none of which are on vinyl. Maybe the latest was, I don't know. Anyway, so that's Randy Newman. I just wanted to talk about him a little bit. I don't know, I'll get back to indie rock soon. We'll have some vinyl hauls in the next week or so. But y'all take it easy.